Welcome to the barn where we party hard but hustle harder. Every single week we go over a book that either inspired me to make drastic changes in my life or lead me on my path to being an entrepreneur. Today's book of the week is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F***. Without wasting much time, you want to stick till the end of the video because each of these points make up the whole picture as how you can completely not give a fuck, and that makes you unfuckable with. So let's dive straight into it. Tip number one, the most important tip in the book is saying that pain and suffering is okay. As human beings, we always expect everything to go perfectly the way we plan and everything is going to turn out exactly the way we wish, but that's often not the case. So by accepting suffering and pain as a part of life and accepting it's one of the gifts that's been given to us, because as I'll explain in later chapters, pain is important, you are already expecting it before it even comes. So when things go wrong, you're able to be composed and you're able to deal with the situation much more effectively than if it comes at you and you don't expect pain and suffering, and that way it's very overwhelming. And 9 out of 10 times, nothing will go 100% the way you want. For example, you might plan this perfect event and then last minute, like the videographer won't come on time, or this may not happen. If you already know that these things will hinder the process before it even happens, when it comes, you're able to instantly start dealing with the problem without fixating on the fact that there is a problem. This further extends to the point, as a human being, you don't always want to be chasing more and more goals. This is because when you currently don't have what you want and you start chasing it, you'll eventually get there. You'll start chasing the next goals. So you won't be satisfied with here as you want to get here. This happens here, here, and you get what's known in this. You get trapped in this feedback loop of hell. And that way, you're never ever truly satisfied and content with the now, as you're always after the next goal, next ambition. Stay happy here and now, and knowing that things will come in your way. Yes, there'll be pain and suffering to get there, but slowly but surely, you will get there. Lesson number 2 from the book. You'll have less problems in life when you choose what to give a fuck about. It's very simple. You own your life. So you have to decide everything that's important to you. Your friends, your family, your work, whatever it may be. And anything that's not in that sphere, completely disregard it. So that way you wouldn't be giving any fucks in that region, such that all this wasted time that you're giving to things that were not your priority, you can now give much more time to the things that are in your sphere, such that when a problem arises, you're not going to fixate on the problem and you can instantly start solving it, as you have very limited things to worry about. And with those few things, you'll be able to manage it. For example, as the author explains in the book, he once threw a party, okay? And he invited so many people to the party, and he had planned it out so well. He had the drinks, the snacks, and everything. Now, during the day, people started canceling, and because some people started canceling, more and more people started canceling. He realized at that point, he wasn't going to worry about it, because his mission was to have a great time with a select few of his friends. The ones who mattered the most to him would come. So instead of worrying on the day of the party of everything that's going wrong, he accepted whoever will come, and it ended up being just a handful of his friends, but those friends made the night so memorable about him to the point he actually wrote about that evening in this book. That way, if things are not a priority on your list and things start going wrong in that area, just dismiss it out of your life and believe that everything will happen either for the betterment of you or to teach you something you never knew before. Changing this mindset will take you to a whole other level and make you far more efficient at solving all your problems. Point number 3 is knowing that pain and suffering is essential for your growth, because coal cannot be turned into diamond unless pressure is applied upon it. Through pain and suffering, your body looks for change because of the discomfort. And in change is where you're able to evolve and grow from the caterpillar of the person you are into the butterfly you're meant to be. And it's very simple. Every time you go through a situation that brings this pain and suffering, it inspires you to look for a solution in that problem. Now, when you enter any situation knowing that this pain and suffering is temporary and it's here to teach me something, you evolve your mindset into improving your problem-solving skills. Now, this channel focuses mainly on entrepreneurs. And as I've said many times on this channel, that solving problems is the foundation of entrepreneurship, and you can put a price tag on any of those, and that's where the profit lies. So no, if you start embracing this pain and suffering as the beauty of life, as it's a gift brought here to turn into something much better than you already are, this increases your tolerance towards the pain, and therefore with time, this pain and suffering has less and less of an impact on you in terms of the negative feelings you feel, and more in how you can uplift yourself. For example, let's just say that tomorrow you lose your job and like you have no more money, and of course that's a very painful situation you may feel, but by embracing it and seeing that this may be the universe's way of making me financially independent. From today I'll never have to work again, or from today I can now go start my new startup as I have all this free time and I can't get sacked anyways. Temporarily the pain will give you that pinch, but as you've embraced it and trying to make the best of a situation that may seem sour, you become the strongest and best version of yourself. Tip number 4 is realizing you're no different from anyone else. Now, those who feel extremely self-important, like I'm the smartest, I'm the strongest, or those who have very negative feelings about themselves, wondering, why am I going through problems? Why is this happening to me? Have a sense of entitlement. And where entitlement is wrong is because you feel you're different. But you need to accept that as humans, 99.9% of our DNA is just like everyone else. So just like you, everyone else has problems to deal with, and like they've been dealing with their problems, why can't you? If someone else reached a high level of success, why can't you? And for those of you who always feel very self-entitled, like I'm the best at this, best at that, you put yourself in this delusional state where you expect everything right is meant to happen for you. So when things go wrong, they hit you, as I mentioned earlier, like a bus out of the blues, as you didn't expect it, as you're on this silver-lined throne where everything is meant to go my way, and such that when the problem does arise, you can't solve it there and then. Furthermore, when you accept that you are no different from everyone else, you realize that like everyone else, you cannot be the most perfect and you cannot reach a level of extraordinary. Because if you can think that you are extraordinary, then everyone else around you has the same right. And if everyone feels they're extraordinary, it brings this paradox that if everyone's extraordinary, the concept of extraordinary doesn't exist. Now, this doesn't mean you purposely try to be average just because you're like everyone else. It means always try aiming for perfection and know that you may never ever reach there, which is okay, because there's always going to be room for you to innovate and expand and grow past your horizon. Lesson number 5 is realizing that you're 100% responsible for your problems. Now, this does not mean it's your fault, it just means responsibility. For example, if you're walking on the street and someone hits you by accident, it may have not been your fault that you're in that problem, but that problem still belongs to you and it's your responsibility. By owning every single one of your problems, it's very crucial for problem solving, as you instantly go into this state of reaction where you want to deal with the problem there and then. Now, when you're hit by the car, instead of complaining and asking yourself, why did I have to get hit? Life is unfair to me. You realize that problem, as we mentioned before, is part of life. But now this problem is yours. So in that moment, how can you deal with it quickly? How can you talk to the driver? How can you get yourself to the hospital if you're in a state? Or even if you went to the hospital, how can you recover quickly? Because fixating on the problem being there and not taking responsibility for it is not going to solve it any faster, is it? So this way you're able to get the problem solved faster, and by solving a problem faster you're able to contain it before it has a bigger and bigger impact on your life. Now guys, before I give you tip number 6, if you're enjoying this video thus far, please hit that like button, as it really boosts the channel. Point number 6, you can, should and will be wrong. Now in life there's no absolute truth. For example, in the early days, people used to think Earth was made up of elements such as fire, water and air. With time to come, people believed now things were made up of atoms, and atoms were the foundation block of everything. As more and more research was done, people realized that the atoms even were made of smaller subatomic particles. Therefore, there's never ever going to be this absolute truth, as it's very unlikely we're going to uncover the secrets of the entire universe. This means no one is ever 100% correct. So there are degrees to which level you can be wrong, but anything you ever do in life will be wrong to some extent, as this idea of absolute truth does not exist. By embracing you will forever be wrong, it gives you a room to learn from your mistakes and accept that making mistakes is part of life. And by doubting things, you invoke your curiosity to dig deeper and deeper into trying to find your own version of the truth, which will help you discover more than if you always accept everything to be right. Accepting things are wrong leads you to looking for that solution towards the rightness, and in those solution finding processes is where you're able to innovate and expand and grow. And for point number 7, it was actually the most profound message in the book, is accepting the inevitable truth you will die. Other than the fact of death, everything else is conditional, but this is one inevitable thing that will happen to each and every one of us. And we're so scared of death because we don't know what lies after as a society that we avoid thinking or talking about it. But by doing so, we're living in this delusional reality, and in that process we start giving fucks to things that don't really matter. In reality, we have to confront our mortality, because being afraid of death is actually being afraid of life, as you're not able to live to your full potential, as you're living in this delusional world which doesn't actually exist. Breaking that barrier enables you to live a wholehearted life with accepting each and every moment as being truly yours, but one day it will come to end. This enables you to set priorities and goals such that you look at the bigger picture of how can I leave my legacy behind, as one day all this will end, and it stops making you worry about the little things like, you know, this person came late, or this person did this to me, or today I spilled coffee on myself, these small issues, as you realize that you have a very finite amount of time, and if you prioritize time on these small issues that don't have bigger significance to any bigger picture, you're wasting this one precious commodity, which is your time. Thank you guys, I hope you've really enjoyed this episode of Book Club. If you haven't checked out the video for last week, it will be in the end screen, where we go over the lessons of my favorite book of all time, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And if you haven't hit the push bell and subscribe buttons, please do so right now, so that you never ever miss out one of these analyses. I read the book so you don't have to. And if you have any book in particular that you want me to analyze and dive into, leave it down in the comment section down below, and we can organize for that for next week. For now, that's enough, and for guys, peace.